Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Frangie Carlyon, La Selva with you. Welcome to the program. Today's new drug is a 6-week break. Players are gone. They're done. They're finished.
Rest up.
Finito is what they are.
Recharge.
This is it. This is it now. Next time we see them, they'll be together.
That's right.
All right.
It's going to
kind of weird when camp breaks. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird when camp breaks. That's it. It's about 6 weeks, right?
We want no news other than possible contract extensions.
Right.
You want no news between now and training camp starting.
And I will tell you, coaches will. Pro coaches not as much. College coaches will tell you, this is when they're the most nervous. You know that they'll tell you this is when they're the most nervous. So this is the time because you're not around them.
Right.
You know, this is the one time they're free. And again, I don't think that's an NFL thing as much, but it's a college thing for sure.
Absolutely.
So that's all right. A lot of things to get to today on the program. We got a Loser Monday draft.
Wow.
While Loser Monday continues on, listen, it's not an easy week for me. I've got to endure having Luka and then drafting Scheffler. It's a hard week for me. I mean, that's not. Well, how am I going to get through that?
That's difficult.
Man, I got the bad luck of the draw is what I got.
You did. Yeah. Who would have known that losing the Masters would end up working out so well for
God
you?
bless John Rahm. Thank you, John Rahm, who, by the way, is now the worst golfer of all time still. So there is that. All kind of things to get to today. Brett Hastings stops by in just a bit. Sports and Courts. What an interesting topic that the 1983 national champion NC State team, the Jim Valvano team, the Low Charles dunk on the Derek Wittenberg miss team, is now suing the NCAA for NIL money.
It's the dumbest lawsuit that I have really ever heard of. I'm not sure I can think of one. Is Jim Thorpe going to sue the NCAA?
Right.
Hang on. Red Grange is getting an attorney. It's unbelievable. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It'll be interesting to hear what Brett Hastings has to say. But yeah,
crazy stuff.
An absurd lawsuit, and this novice's opinion.
So we'll do that in about 10 minutes, about 4:15. We'll talk to Brett about what a crazy thing it is. Hard to believe this. All right, other things we'll get to today on the program. Doug Peterson met with the media for the last time. We'll hear some of those comments coming up in just a bit. We'll do that. Sad thing in sports. Jerry West died.
Yeah.
I've long been a believer that Jerry West never got his due among the great players. Everyone knows who Jerry West is. Mm-hmm. He's a 3-time Hall of Famer, by the way. Yep. Hall of Famer as a player, Hall of Famer as an Olympian champion, and a Hall of Famer as a contributor to the game. But Jerry West was a great player. You're not old enough to remember him playing, I wouldn't think. But Hays, he was a great player that never gets his due when people start mentioning the great guards of all time, mainly because the guards that have come along in the 80s, 90s, and beyond are so good, I don't think he ever gets mentioned, and he belongs in that conversation.
Yeah, he never gets mentioned, and, again, it hurt that he was 0-6 against Boston in the finals. He did win a championship, but, obviously, imagine that in today's age, if a great player got to the finals 6 times and lost to the same team. What an albatross that would be to carry around, but he did it with unbelievable grace and dignity, and his accomplishments were so vast as a player, and then obviously as an executive. He built the Showtime Lakers. He built the Kobe Shaq Lakers. He only gets credit for he was only with the Lakers for the first Kobe Shaq title, but they three-peated.
Right.
So he really should get credit for the other two as well.
Yeah, he's the one who made the trade, Vlade Divac and Shaq. I think it happened in the same week.
Yeah, and it was devastating as a Magic fan when Shaq left Orlando to go to the Lakers, but that was Jerry West. He had a brilliant recruiting pitch for Shaq in terms of, come here, we're gonna introduce you to the producers and get you going in terms of an actor, and it handsomely paid off, and he just told so many great stories too. I mean, he was from West Virginia. Had a pretty tough childhood, and basketball became his escape, and he talked about constructing his own basketball goal that was kind of on this hill, and if you missed, you had to go chase the ball down the hill and bring it back up. So
Right.
he was like, so you didn't want to miss.
Right.
Because if he made the shot, the ball would, obviously would stay, and come back. So just an unbelievable life. It was such a crime what they did to him in winning time.
That was so awful.
And I
because
hate
that's
the fact,
not who he was.
Yeah, and I hate the fact that, that was one of the final stories of his life, is that obviously Jerry West was very upset with his portrayal in this. It's honestly, it's a reason I will never watch that show.
Same here.
And
Jason Clark's depiction of him is so off. I watched just a little bit of it, saw the highlights. I'm old enough to remember him. I will never watch Winning Time. Never. I will never watch Winning Time because it misrepresented who he was.
Right.
I feel the same way you do.
Yeah, and I thought the statement Michael Jordan put out earlier today was just sensational, calling him an older brother and saying that. I would have loved to have gone against him as a competitor, but the more I got to know him, the more I really wish I could have been his teammate on the court. So just, probably one of the greatest basketball lives that we've ever seen.
No question. Well said. Very well said. Everything you just said. And again, he went to the finals 9 times, to your point. The problem is 6 of those were against the Celtics that nobody was beating.
Right.
The Bulls wouldn't have beat him today. The Lakers of today wouldn't have beat him. They were just – they had all the good players. When one team, Red Auerbach was great, but when you win 10 out of 11, you've got all the good players. And so he lost twice to the Knicks. He still is the leading all-time final scorer.
Yeah.
To this day, he was I can remember when he did the year they did win the title. I was probably 12, 13, somewhere thereabouts when Wilt got there, and when Wilt had been a 76ers whole career, but the Wilt's won title, and I can remember that team. It was Jerry West and Gail Goodrich in the backcourt. Jim McMillan and I think Happy Hairston in the front court, and Wilt was the center. I remember that team.
What number did Happy Hairston wear?
52.
Jesus. It's unbelievable. And he's right. I'm not even looking it up.
Yeah.
Because he's right.
He wore 52. Jim McMillan wore 5.
It's
it's not normal.
Do you want me to give you some Jerry West final statistics?
I would love to have those. Yes.
So, his first finals, 1961. 45 minutes a game,
45
minutes a game on average, 31 points a game. Next year, 29 points, 33 points, almost 34 points, 31. And then in 1968-69 finals, 37 points a game in the finals.
MVP is on a losing team.
Right.
That's insane.
The only time that's ever happened.
Yeah, the only time it's ever. Yeah, no, it is, JJ. Those are great stats, and that tells you how he was just a great player. When I was a little kid just starting in sports, the Knicks had Frazier and DeBusschere and Earl Monroe. The Celtics as their guards. The Celtics had JoJo White and Don Chaney as their guards, and the Lakers had Jerry West and Gail Goodrich, and they were the great backcourts. And me and all my buddies, we would pick which one we were. Yeah, I'll be Jerry West, and you'll be, and that's what you do when you're a little kid.
Yeah.
You go play basketball. So
I still do that.
And I'm really glad you said what you did about Winning Time, because I didn't know if enough people even watched it or cared about it, so didn't know if I got it in my notes, but I didn't know if I was going to talk about it or not. But that was terrible.
Awful.
That was a terrible remembrance of him. That is not who he was. That doesn't mean he didn't get mad somewhere along the line. Every executive gets mad at some point.
Right.
But it depicted him as an insecure hothead, an insecure, unhinged hothead, and he wasn't. He was not. He was a guy that was respected for the dignity that he brought to the game. So I was a big Jerry West fan. I really was. So sad to see Jerry West gone at the age of 86. A big part of you said it. You said it better than I could have. Better than anyone could have. What a great basketball life for Jerry West. So gone at the age of 86. And tonight they will honor him before Game 3, and I'm glad they're going to do it.
We lost a couple of big ones the last week or so in the NBA. Bill Walton and now Jerry West.
It's we're at that we get these stretches where people of it almost happens in triplets sometimes, doesn't it? In triplicates. So we'll talk about that.
And he was the logo, even though the NBA won't ever confirm it.
But he
they
was
also
the logo.
Don't deny it.
They all know he's the logo.
Yeah.
What Adam Silver said sure looked like him.
Yeah.
He absolutely was.
Oh, was that just so they didn't have to pay him this whole time?
Nobody knows.
I don't know. Yeah.
But it's him.
It's him, but it's weird that the league doesn't acknowledge that it's him. It'd be fun if tonight they finally did.
So we'll talk a little bit about the U.S. Open. We'll do a Loser Monday draft. We'll also talk about what if Scheffler wins this? I mean, what if he wins this one? I mean, it's almost – then it gets common. Then it's really Tiger-esque. then it's the most Tiger-esque since Tiger, and there's nobody even in between. I would think.
I would agree. If he's able to win at Pinehurst, it's just absurd at this point. I mean,
then you're doing math on your hand, like how many does he have left? How can he get?
Right,
How many does he have to win?
I want to say that going into this week, he's already won like $23 million this year. I mean, it's something
this
just
year.
absurd. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's if he's able to do it, and the odds makers believe he will, it's just it's incredible.
And JJ, we will get to
24, by the way.
Yeah, how about that?
24 so far in the year 2024.
24 million so far.
We're just barely into June, right?
I mean, middle of June, he's made 24 million. JJ, you got me thinking about it last night, so I paid a little bit of attention. The Braves of Atlanta are struggling, like really.
Whoa.
I mean, it's like, and I didn't think about it as much. I mean, I watched the scores, and I watched the highlights, and I watched some games that the Pirates aren't playing. But I didn't really, until you said it when I was walking out of here last night, I didn't really lean into it.
Yeah, so they're on a 4-game losing streak at the moment.
Yeah.
Since like late April, their OPS, which is batting average and slugging percentage and on base all combined, is like in the low 600s as a team. Like every single person cannot hit, and this was way before Acuna got hurt.
Yeah, but and what's happened to that, and we're going to talk about this later, is strikeouts are up, velocity is up, and elbows are getting blown left and right. But what we're missing is hitting is down. A lot of teams aren't hitting at all. I'm watching a Pirates-Cardinals game last night that's tied 0-0 going to the 8th.
People think they unjuiced the ball this year.
Something happened. But the Braves are a team that would be affected by that because they're an offensive team.
It's killing the Braves.
Yeah, that's right.
They're 17th in the league in home runs.
Yeah.
This is a team.
And that's how they won.
Well, didn't they set the record
broke
last year?
Yeah, I think a National League record.
They've gone from not only the best in baseball, but record-setting, to now they are average at hitting home runs.
Yeah.
It's not just the ball. I mean, I see terrible at-bats every single inning from these guys.
Yeah, you're a big fan of Austin Riley.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but
Thank God we have him for 10 more years.
But they hit all these home runs, and they have these big swingers. Well, like all pro sports leagues, the league punches back. And now the league punched back against these big swingers, and they're getting them out. Now, I think you're going to see small ball come back. We'll get to that coming up later. So we got a lot of stuff on. You'll hear from Doug Peterson in our second segment as well. The final time he will speak before training camp. So a lot of stuff to get to. But crazy story involving NC State. JJ, fire it up.
Now time for Sports in Courts, legal issues in the sports world with Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Hit back with Hastings.
Brett Hastings is here with us. How are you?
I'm great. This is my 10 days. I've become a baseball fan every year,
Okay.
When Florida makes it to the College World Series.
You're going to be watching the College World Series. I like that. It's a great time.
OPS, all this. I have no idea what it is, but I'll figure it out.
We're both jumping on the bandwagon together.
Hayes is with you. Yeah. Maybe you guys go have a few beers and watch together.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I will
say one thing.
I'll give you a roster.
I will say one thing. All those guys that ran out of Clemson's dugout wanted no part of Jack Caglione.
No.
How big is that guy, right?
He's very big. Brett is always with us. Sports in Courts. We talk about when the legal world meets the sports world. This is a crazy story that the remaining members, the living members of the NC State team in '83, are suing the NCAA. Give me a big picture here.
So it's really, they're kind of bringing the same arguments that were brought by O'Bannon, right, as it relates to the image and likeness. What's interesting is, obviously there's some real issues with the statute of limitations. You're going to see sort of the same defenses from the NCAA. One, they say, hey, you consented, right, way back at that time to kind of give up these rights. You're stopped, you're barred. How far could you go back in damages, right? The First Amendment says it was newsworthy, and there were a lot of people covering it, so can you just get money from the footage? I heard Hayes, coming in going, stupidest lawsuit ever. Trust me, there are much more stupid lawsuits. But what I think is interesting here is, it's really kind of a niche example, right? We all know him. Right. We all watch the Jimmy V thing every year.
Sure.
We see the footage. There's some value to it. But I felt when I started thinking about, hey, what would the importance of this lawsuit would be? And I think of those Bo Jackson jerseys, those Herschel Walker jerseys, these iconic players that they're selling them in all of the stores now. And I know they're reaching out to them, and I think some of those deals have been done. But I was like, okay, how would you really support the damages in these? my sons, one of the cool things, we all love these 30 for 30s, right? Because it's an opportunity for other people to see, hey, the Fab Five and them. And typically in those things, they are compensated, right, to be a part of it. So I think, this will end up being much ado about nothing, but I think the iconic former players are clearly going to need to be compensated, could clearly bring claims now, especially for money that's made on them going forward.
Well, that's what I thought is precedent. If they win anything, think for a second. Sidney Lowe win. If Sidney Lowe wins any money, you're right. What's Herschel Walker going to win? So what? Do we know what they're asking for yet? Do we know the dollar figure?
We don't. I didn't have a chance. We've been on a great run, right? We had the complaints when we had them in here. I was trying to get a hold of it. This is up in North Carolina in state court. They got a pretty seasoned litigator who's repping them in that case. He was a former defensive back, at Wake Forest. I think this is a little bit more about principle. I don't think that the damages are going to be huge, in it as it relates to this case, but I think it really is about that principle, sort of these iconic sports teams that we do re-show, the footage and the interviews and those types of things.
But if they win anything at all, Bo Jackson and Herschel Walker, guys you mentioned, are going to make a killing, right? Isn't that correct? And where do you stop, right? Where do you see it going? Well, what do you think is going to happen in this case? And if they win anything at all, what happens then?
Well, UF's always been really risk adverse, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you'd go in, what were the two jerseys you saw for years, right? 96 and 1.
For years.
Right. Because they would say it was the year, it wasn't a player.
For a while, that was all they would sell. Do you remember that?
Yeah. They wouldn't do it. Whereas other schools would sell the jerseys and thought, it was a little bit more, remote. So you didn't even have historicals there, right? To say, hey, we were making money off that merchandise or whatever. I think that you're going to see these iconic players, if you will, get compensated, and you can pretty much figure out how many Tebow jerseys were sold, how many of these things went, and work out a deal that's there. At the end of the day, they're still alumni of these universities. I don't think they're out to, to overly extract it or want to litigate with them. But I think between what's happened in O'Bannon, the fact that the NCAA knows that they are on shaky ground from an antitrust standpoint, the fact that the Power 5 conferences know they got to compensate the current players, that I think you'll see them push back, and there may be some real pushback in this NC State suit, like how remote is it, okay, as to who we're going to pay. But clearly the name, image, and likeness claims that would be brought by, just the great players that we all know. It's maybe not Billy Cannon, right? And Billy Cannon's a state, but Herschel Walker, Tim Tebow, Charlie Ward, guys at these schools, that those are the iconic jerseys that everybody wants to buy.
So you think those guys can get paid?
I think they will get paid.
You think Charlie Ward's going to get paid, and Tim Tebow, who pays it? The NCAA? I guess you got to know who they're suing, right?
Well, to me, it'd be, who was selling those jerseys, right?
Okay. All right.
Most of those jerseys were sold by Nike, right?
Yeah.
Most of the ones you saw were Nike. They were part of the deals with the university, so you'd have to do it. The Southeastern Conference and these other things.
So multiple defendants, as you see this.
Potentially, yes. I think they're going to have to put together a paradigm where they're kind of compensated by all of the groups. I don't think you just saw the Power 5 schools step forward and each of these others come forward. But remember, if you settle or resolve something with them, then that claim's done, right? So if you were Herschel Walker and you did a deal with the Southeastern Conference, you worked it out, then there's not a need for the lawsuit. There's compensation in exchange for a release, and it's done. So, yeah.
And the settlement that we have seen, the compensation only goes back a few years to, I want to, somewhere like 2018,
right,
something like that. But what's to then stop the heirs of, like, the Notre Dame Four Horsemen from the 1924 team from coming forward and saying, well, look, the Four Horsemen were arguably the most iconic college football characters as the sport was building. They absolutely should be entitled to something. Like, it's at what point is there a cutoff line of, no, this now, you don't have any legal ground here?
Probably whatever the Indiana statute of limitations is, right? I think in the way that those players would still have to be figuring out ways to be compensated at this point or time, or that people were profiting off of them. They're not going to be as significant in claims as current players who they now know, hey, we're going to compensate them, and they have the opportunity to go and be compensated. So, it's an extreme example you bring, but it's true. That's something I think the court would say, yeah, it's not going to go that far back. Right now they don't know. That's why this is a test case. I agree with you. What you were saying, Frank. I think the precedent, if you will, that we see from this are the iconic players, and where we can kind of really specifically be able to figure out what type of revenue has been generated by them. And your question's a good one. Like, is it money that the Southeastern Conference is making?
Yeah.
Is it anybody else is doing? That matters.
But it's interesting, Brett. If you've been listening to Sports and Courts the whole time, but particularly in the last 2-3 months, your prediction rate's been pretty good on this, and you think these guys are getting paid. I mean, you think Charlie Ward's going to make some money. You think, which is really interesting to me, that it's gonna. I got a hunch you're right. I don't know how it manifests itself and how much it is and who pays it and what the terms are.
I don't think it's a huge amount of money. Charlie Ward may say, hey, no problem. You don't got to worry about it with me. Let the money go to the program or what have you. But if the people, want to go do it, they can. I mean, my son came in here in the studio with us. He's literally wearing a Tebow jersey in the last 2 or 3 days. These kids want to wear it, want to have it. They're still making them. They're still producing them. So that revenue is definitely going to go to players.
Great work as always, Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Thank you, Brett. We appreciate it. When we come back, let's hear from Doug Peterson one last time before training camp. It's 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Want more Jags? Subscribe to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. Looking for more in-depth coverage of the Gators? Subscribe to the 1010XL Gators YouTube channel. Need your FSU fix? Well, subscribe to the 1010XL Seminoles YouTube channel. Your favorite team, one specific location.
This is Hays Carlyon for QC Kinetics. Are you not able to enjoy the summer as much as you want because of joint pain? This is the best time for being outdoors, but not if your knees, shoulders, back, or hips are hurting. Well, don't suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here at QC Kinetics. Call them now for a free consultation at 904-274-5522. Serving the Jacksonville area with locations in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra Beach, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Go see them. They can get you in this week. Call them for a free consultation at 904-274-5522. Again, 274-5522. That's QC Kinetics.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Summer starts now at Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet with our summer sale. It's not sink or swim. We have vehicles for every budget and every need, starting as low as $79.99, and you won't get burnt. We offer 20-year 200,000-mile protection on new and 7-year 100,000-mile protection on used. Plus, we can really cool things off with our 30-day exchange policy. Start the summer off the way you deserve it with our summer sale at Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville. We're here to wow you.
I'm sure many of you guys feel like you wish you could be as fit as you were in your 20s. The dad bod is really tough to shed. I'm Dr. Lance Snyder, and I did something about it through Dr. Rappaport at the Jax Aesthetic Center. I'm active, I played college sports, and I still work out a few times a week. Nothing worked. As a doctor and a dad, I want to be around as long as possible and feel good about my body. Dr. Rappaport put together a personalized treatment plan that worked. It was easy for me to make appointments, get to those appointments, and get back to work in time. I also recommend the Emsella chair for any urinary issues or ED. Dr. Rappaport has state-of-the-art treatment options for men. And the M-Sculpt Neo is an abs blast. 20,000 crunches in 30 minutes. Give yourself your own gift this Father's Day at the Jax Aesthetic Center. Build muscle and lose fat. Call or text today, 904-808-2455. That's 904-808-2455. You won't be sorry.
This is Hays Carlyon for Harold and Harold. I was at lunch with my good friend Holt, and he was telling me that sometimes a lawyer can get more from a case than their own client. I was surprised to hear this, but Holt said that doesn't happen with Harold and Harold. They'll never take a fee that is greater than their own client.
When they say they treat their clients as a person and not a file, they mean it. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harrell & Harrell at 904-251-1111. That's 904-251-1111.
Nothing has a 10-year warranty except for a new AC unit from Vons. V-O-N-S. Vons Amazing 10. This is legit. A full 10-year warranty. It covers parts, labor, and refrigerant. That's an unmatched commitment they make to their customers, while others will charge extra for weekend and same-day emergencies. Not at Vons. No extra charges. Just great service when you need it, whether your unit needs to be repaired or replaced. Remember, if your AC won't turn on, just call Vons.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hays Carlyon from MyBookie. The NBA playoffs are heating up, and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays, and new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sports book. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
The U.S. Open. Experience the fun of fantasy golf during the U.S. Open. Win $1,000 of jewelry from Beard's Diamonds. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors and MyBookie. Enter at 1010XL.com. He was the best back in Jacksonville.
It has to be Fred Taylor.
Fred Taylor joins Dan and Jeff on The Drill Monday mornings at 8:30.
A tough guy.
Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein and Robbins and B&B Fuel and Lubricants.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money. Your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS consumeraccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday on The Frangie Show. Ricketts Electric, the power connection you can trust.
I'm in a good mood.
Me too.
JJ's dropping a little Martin Knopfler.
Yes,
you don't
it's
get
awesome.
Martin Knopfler on a doggone Wednesday very often, do you?
You don't. This is one of the greatest
here.
music videos ever made.
Frangie Carlyon, La Selva with you. Loser Monday draft coming up later on in the program. Got to think about who I'm going to take of that first pick.
Yeah, you've
really been kind of grinding on that one.
Got a tough call.
Oh my gosh, I got to think through that. It's never easy being me. The Jags break camp today. Any final thoughts as we say goodbye now? Hays in the barn, as it were, until they get here for training camp. It's hard to learn much in the OTA mandatory mini phase. It's fun to watch them. Any final thoughts about this group before the next time we talk about them, they'll be on the field together?
Well, I think it was largely a successful off-season in terms of their practices because pretty much everybody's healthy. And everyone is healthy when it comes to anything that would affect their availability for training camp. So that's the number one thing. You didn't have your outlook for your team didn't get greatly altered because of a non-contact knee injury, and now you've got to sort of scramble to figure out, how to fill the void in that room. So the health is great, and they certainly seem like if no one suffers an injury away from the facility between now and camp, that they will be 100% for by the time they get there, which is awesome. So I think it starts with that, and yeah, I mean it seems like that they've gotten some good work done. They seem to believe that they have. I think the interesting thing for me is Press Taylor talking about taking the run game down to the studs and admitting they're really not going to know if it's worked until you get to the regular season. There just isn't a component at any point in the offseason where you can really test it, because you're limited in terms of contact now, and when you get into training camp, you're not so much limited by what the league tells you can and can't do once you get a few days in. But very few coaches want to go live in practice during training camp, for any length of time. You might see, what would you guess? We see maybe one period of actual live tackling in an entire training camp.
Yeah, that's probably pretty close.
I
yeah.
mean,
if you mean tackle to the ground,
where they're live, where the coach says we're live.
Yeah, I mean tackle.
It might happen once in camp.
Tackle to the ground once in camp.
Yeah,
and it might not happen.
And it might not happen.
Yeah.
And so, and then obviously your big time players, they're not going to see a lot of snaps in the preseason game. So it's just so fascinating to me that you put all this work in, and you're out there on the field for weeks on end, and you have these you have mandatory minicamp, which sounds so important, but you honestly aren't going to know anything about any of this until mid-September. Yeah, and even then you'll only have an 18th or a 17th of the piece of the puzzle. So but I think overall it's been a great off season. I think they're better than they were when they stepped off the field in Nashville.
I do too. I think they're a double-digit win team, and we'll see if it plays out that way. Final time to hear from Doug Peterson, the head coach. He talked a little bit today about this break that's coming up now before the team comes back for camp.
Definitely wanted to get away and relax and enjoy this last little bit of summer before we start. But at the same time, the message is to continue to work out, continue to run. Continue to review the information that we gave them this offseason, so that when they come back, they come back ready. They come back in shape. They come back mentally and physically, ready to go for training camp.
And I will tell you that's an important thing for teams and players, is to stay in that great shape you're going to be in when you're around your teammates and your strength coach and the weight room. Stay in that kind of shape when you're not around them. That's a key thing. Brian Thomas Jr. is a brand new player here, but he's going to benefit from a lot of guys around him that have played the game. Doug talked about that as well.
I think it's a good transition to have, the veteran leadership in those rooms, especially in this situation with Brian, being the draft pick and being in that room as well. I think it makes his life a little bit easier from the standpoint of just the comfort of the guys around him. Not saying life on the field is going to be easy and anything like that, but I think just that transition from college to the NFL, what it looks like to be a pro, with guys like Gabe and Christian in that room, and even a guy like Tim Jones, who's been around now for a few years. I mean, there's another guy that has great leadership ability, and understands what it takes, because he's been one of those guys every year that's had to work and fight and claw and scratch to make the 53, and and I think for Brian to be able to see all of that, maybe puts his his mind at ease just a little bit, as he transitions now into camp, which ramps up even more.
And speaking of veterans, one of the guys we've all had our eyes on these last 3 days, mainly because there weren't that many guys out there that we knew were going to be around, a handful, I suppose, when the season began. But it's Mac Jones. I told you this, and I've said this all week long. You forget how accurate he is, what a beautiful ball he throws. He's a fun-loving guy. He seems like the perfect backup quarterback to Trevor Lawrence, a first-round draft pick that's played a handful of games, or more than a handful of games in the NFL. Doug Peterson likes what he sees in his backup quarterback as well.
Hey, he's done a nice job. He came in early, and he's one of those guys that wanted to be in the building and just learn, and just another good piece to add, to our roster, and especially to that room. And he's done a nice job. He's obviously the only quarterback this week that we have, and it's good for him, so he can get all the reps that he can, and put himself in a position to really compete during camp.
The comments of Doug Peterson, the Jaguar coach. Last time we'll hear from Doug until training camp commences at the end of July 25th, somewhere thereabouts, right?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. And that's the next time we'll hear from them, and then it's go man go. As you know, it'll be a lot of football in Jacksonville. This is the year you have 2 preseason home games and 1 preseason road game, and the Kansas City Chiefs come in. The second week, the Tampa Bay Bucks come in for joint practices, and then the football game, and then you just fly up and back to Atlanta for a quickie at the end. So you never go very far. The furthest you go is Atlanta. You play the first 2 games home, so it'll be an awful lot of opportunities, which is kind of cool for fans that come to this training camp to watch their team. When you go joint practice with somebody else, you can't do that. When you do it here, that's more chances for your fans to watch you go against another team. So it's going to be kind of a fun training camp for people around here.
I think so as well. It seems like they've gone away from Jacksonville for at least 4 or 5 days. What is it, like the last 5 or 6 years? I mean, you know better than me because you've gone on all the trips.
Yeah, but both Doug years, it's been Atlanta and then Detroit. I know I've been to
New England,
Minnesota, New England, Baltimore, and then, of course, Detroit, Atlanta, the last 2. Were there any others?
So it's at least 5.
It's at least 5 joint practices away from town, I can tell you.
Now, maybe like during a COVID year, they didn't do any of that.
They did. And one year, the Bucks were here. The Bucks did it here one year. But I can tell you, I've been to Minnesota, Baltimore, New England, Detroit, and Atlanta in the last 5 years with these guys.
I think in terms of whether it's been, if you count the COVID year, I bet you it's been 6 or 7 years since the team stayed here
for the entire time. Yeah. This year, I'm trying to think. Is there a joint practice that I'm missing? I know those 5 for sure. I can't remember if there's another team they practiced against. None really comes to mind. Now the Bucks here, but I mean that they win.
I want to say it started in 2017 because that was the year. Obviously, they went to New England and looked like they weren't even playing the same sport.
Right.
And then they ended up facing off in the Final Four.
Right.
So.
And then I think Baltimore and Minnesota were next. Yeah. Then COVID year. Or no, the COVID year was in between those maybe. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. Those are the 5 that come to mind.
Yeah. So
they'll be here now.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, and and hopefully hopefully they're able to get to the starting gate healthy. I mean, that's the key. I mean, I think there's great competition for the 53 at some spots. There's probably, what would you say, 2 real battles for maybe starting spots?
I would say the closest thing, if everybody's healthy,
right?
I would say the closest thing to competition, outside corner, and probably nickel. So the 2 cornerback spots opposite Tyson Campbell, I would say, are competitions in terms of finding starters. The Sam linebacker, if it's going to be Muma and Ventrell Miller, I would say there's a competition there. I
don't think there's anything on offense.
No, I don't think center's a competition. I know they wanted to say that
if
it was.
Center's a competition, we're in trouble.
But I don't think it is. So
I don't either.
So I would think that the 2 cornerback spots apart from Tyson Campbell, I don't think safety you would think with Rayshon Jenkins gone, but I don't think it is. I think it's Cisco and Antonio Johnson. Now that has to be somewhat of a competition because Antonio Johnson's never started in the league before, but I don't think it will be. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is a starter. I mean, even though he's never played in the league, I think he's a starter. I don't think there's anybody else that could be. Duvernay's your return guy. Yeah. Barring injury, I think you pretty much know the starters.
I mean, I guess you could say kicker, but I'd have to think Cam.
But that's a competition. But that's you're right. That's a competition.
But I mean, but I was thinking in terms of just offense, defense. I think other than 1 linebacker spot and 1 corner spot. I think everything else is pretty much etched in.
Could you say if Trayvon and Josh Allen are the ends and Devon Hamilton's absolutely your starting nose guard, could you say Roy Robertson-Harris and Eric Armstead battle out the 3 technique? Is that? I mean, they're all play. It's even hard to say because they're all going to play.
Yeah, and I have to think Armstead starts.
Yeah, you would think he plays first, but he's had some injury stuff, and Roy Robertson-Harris has had some good moments. But we're nitpicking because they're both playing. That's not a very good example because I hear you.
And then when
doesn't matter which one plays first.
Yeah, and then in terms of the 53, like, what do you do at receiver if you keep 6?
Right.
You know, that's 3 or 4 guys fighting for basically a spot. The secondary, I mean, they're deep at safety.
Yeah,
I would be deep at corner.
I would think there will be some battles for the 53 for the reason you just said. I would say they've had guys like Monteric Brown, guys they've drafted like Christian Braswell. You don't know which one of those guys is going to be the 6th cornerback. You don't know the offensive line who's going to be the 7th, 8th guy. I would think there are some legitimate battles, but way down the 53. That's the point.
Right.
Way down the 53 before you get to them. So you pretty much know your football. It's going to be a lot of fun. Training camp 6 weeks away. Hays has headlines on the other side. Stick around.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Rick Ballou takes you into the night.
He's the actor in the family. And then we got the big guy.
Ryan the Hacker Green.
Yes, and what I most admire is the way you've captured the voice of the common people.
Right after Rick Ballou. Evenings on 1010XL.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie for Ricketts Electric. Now, any good lineup needs power. When I needed a power connection for our new Walk-Off Charities baseball park, I found the perfect partner in Ricketts Electric. You're going to love these guys, I'm telling you. The Ricketts family has been providing commercial and residential electric service for years. So call my buddy Zach Ricketts today at 904-320-5960, and you can find them on Facebook as well. You will trust them. That's Ricketts Electric, the city's best power connection. Call them today at 320-5960.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Frank Frangie here for South State Bank. Look, I depend on South State for so many things: personal accounts, small business banking, and banking for our nonprofit. South State Bank can help you reach all your financial goals too, whether you're just starting out or focused on financial planning. South State offers convenience with their online and mobile banking. You should check out South State Bank, as they were recently recognized by Forbes as one of America's best banks. That's South State, banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Let's fire up the flavor and ignite those appetites. Let's slow down and smell the barbecue. Because all your favorites are smoked for hours and ready for eating when you are. From our famous ribs to slow smoked pork. Enjoy some perfection by the plateful, safely in our dining room or in the comfort of your home. With curbside pickup, drive-through, and delivery. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make, and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is, and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
When you hear a great call on 1010XL,
Telephone communique.
It's covered by the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
If you'd like any further information, just call me.
Listen for great phone interviews all day on the All-Pro Roofing phone line on 1010XL.
Every day is a Big Chief Tire Day at 1010XL. Lauren Brooks here from Helmets and Heels. Our friends at Big Chief Tire are all about ensuring your safety and peace of mind on the road. Right now, they're offering $50 off a new set of tires, so you can finally take care of that tire replacement you have been putting off. Plus, enjoy free tire repairs and replacements for up to 3 years with their protection plan. Visit BigChiefTire.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule an appointment at any one of their 5 locations. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Our returning champion, a basketball court sweat mopper from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Louis Cramp.
Great to be back, Merv.
There's only one category left on the board, Louis. People you can trust to repair your air conditioner. Your 10 seconds starts now.
Well, I'm pretty handy with tools around. Right, so my Uncle Steve used to fix transmissions, so maybe he could... Okay, sorry. I guess just call the guys at Bueller?
That's right, Lewis. The highly trained technicians at Bueller Air and Plumbing have the tools and the experience to service any make and model of home air conditioner to make sure that you are cool.
You sure I can't just have a quick...
Yeah, we're done for today.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey folks, it's Mike Dempsey for Pella Windows and Doors. Now you probably heard me mention that errant golf ball that led us to replace our windows. And obviously, if I'm investing in my home's appearance and comfort, I want the best. Well now, my new Pella windows are installed and they look fantastic. And we've already noticed the difference in outside noise reduction and energy savings. So if you need to replace your windows or doors, visit my friends at the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway or check them out online at PellaJacks.com. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
It's the Alhambra Theater's biggest summer show, perfect for the whole family. The Alhambra Theater presents Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, based on the story of Joseph and his journey from humble dreamer to Egypt's favorite son. Presented by Atlantic Self-Storage. This big Andrew Lloyd Webber musical will have you singing out loud. To see this amazing show, go to AlhambraJacks.com to learn more about Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. AlhambraJacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Gather round! It's Hays' Headlines, presented by Harrell & Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Hear all about it. Here's Hays Carlyon.
All right, you guys deserve some good headlines.
Don't give me less than I deserve. I've been telling you that every day. Let's go.
Hopefully I'll be able to deliver for you. Welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank Frangie, JJ LaSelva. I am Hays Carlyon. Appreciate our friends at Harrell & Harrell. Give them a call at 251-1111. Frank, we just were kind of talking about this, but get a final thought from you. The Jaguars did wrap their offseason today. So in a nutshell, how do you feel like the offseason went? Do you feel like the Jaguars are better now than they were when they completed last season?
I do. They have a better team. I think they were very convicted. I think Doug Peterson has been convicted. I mean, hey, the minute that season ended, he gutted his defensive staff and replaced it. They were very active in free agency, very active. They had a very good draft, I believe. Here's what I think. I think the season ended and they were pissed. That's what I think. They were 9-8. They knew they should have been better than that. They started 8-3. They're shaking their heads on how that 5 out of 6 happened at the end of the year, and they said, by damn, that's not going to happen again. That's what I think happened, and I think they've been aggressive from the minute the season ended, and I think we saw that in free agency. We saw it in the draft. We saw it in the rebuilding of the defensive staff even before all that, and I think we saw it the little bit we could watch them in OTAs and minicamp. I like where they are, and I think they like where they are.
We know that first-round receiver Brian Thomas Jr. is certainly not a diva. He's been very quiet, almost to the point of it's become kind of a joke with the coaching staff of how quiet and just hard-working Brian Thomas is. Doug Peterson was asked today, you played the comment on the totality of the receivers helping Brian Thomas. But another interesting thing from Doug as a follow-up to that was he was asked about there being no divas in this receiver room, and certainly Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis certainly appears like that's not him. We know Christian Kirk isn't that way. And down the line, Doug Peterson with some interesting thoughts on that. JJ has it for us.
Yeah, I don't feel like we have that type of room. And guys are unselfish. They compete. They cheer for each other. And it's not a I need a football. I need every target mentality in that room at all. And that's a good thing, because he comes into a room like that. Gives him a lot of confidence just to go out and perform and do what he can do.
I think that really helps Brian Thomas.
Building culture is important. Doug has talked about that. Trent has talked about that. I travel with those guys. I'm on the plane with them. I'm in the hotel with them every week, Hays. I'm around them. I can tell you, and I'm not around Brian because he just got here.
Right.
But I've been around the guys that are here, or Gabe just got here. They were not going to bring in someone who didn't fit that. I think it'll help him perfectly. And I agree with you. He's not a diva, and it's not a room full of. When I heard that quote, I heard it earlier today. It's not a room full of divas, and that's a position that can be prone to that. But it's not. It's not a room full of divas. It's really not.
Cool news for a good old Jaguar. Trey Herndon is signing with the New York Giants. Good to see his story continue.
Trey Herndon's a guy that you hear this about some guys a lot. It's every drop out of the ability he's got. He's a good football player. He's not particularly talented. He's not very fast. He's not very big, but he plays really hard. And that's a guy that when it's over, Hays, we'll say, he got about every drop out of that talent. Good for him. I'm glad. I like Trey. I hope he does well.
Titans coach Brian Callahan joined Adam Schefter's podcast and called Calvin Ridley a pro's pro. Frank, is that how you would describe Calvin Ridley?
Well, you know what, though? No, actually, I would. I mean, I thought he had the dig at the end when he said it's always great to steal a player from your rival team. I like Calvin. I think Calvin had some deficiencies, but I didn't have a problem with Calvin's professionalism. I didn't. I thought Calvin was fine. I thought Calvin I thought he was fine. I had no problem with Calvin as a player, and I'd have been fine if he came back here. I really would have. I'm okay that he's gone, and Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas are here, and I'm not sure either one of them would be here if he was back. So I'd rather the two for the one, honestly. But I had no problem with Calvin Ridley.
I just feel like if you're a pro's pro, you've got to take it upon yourself to take some ownership. I get it. You haven't played. No. It's your first year. I do think he would have been good had he come back here.
I do too.
In year two. So this is not to slight him. I really don't think he's going to be particularly strong in Tennessee this year. But I just think if you're a pro's pro, you can't have those mistakes keep popping up like they were. But we'll see what Calvin Ridley does as a Titan. Really interesting comments from Cincinnati superstar quarterback Joe Burrow. Frank, I don't know if you saw this. Talked about how all the injuries are starting to accumulate on him and said that he thinks about his football mortality. Boy, that sounds a little Andrew Luckish to me.
Yeah, I don't think he's as eccentric as Andrew. Therefore, he's not going to walk away just because he's done. But I think he's probably what I took from it, because I got my attention too, Hays. What I took from that was he's now starting to worry, is he going to be hurt so much that he's not going to be able to play? I don't think it's not a toughness issue. He's a tough cat. You can't play in that league if you're not a tough cat. But I think some guys, no matter how tough they are, the injuries keep cropping up. And I think this is a guy, Hays, that is now starting to worry, am I never going to be healthy enough? And I understand that. And I do, but I think that's what he's saying.
Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh raved about Justin Herbert and his offensive line when interviewed after the Chargers OTAs. Frank, are you interested in seeing what that looks like offensively? Because it seems like Jim Harbaugh wants to maul people with his offensive line, and obviously he's got a superstar quarterback as well.
They're Ravens West is what they are.
That's a good point.
They brought Greg Roman out there, the coordinator. They got Gus Edwards. They've got players. Hayden Hurst, the Jacksonville guys out there having a great camp or a great offseason, by the way. High marks. They're trying to take the Ravens, and they're taking the Ravens to the West Coast. So I think that's what they're going to be. Now, he's got a little more exotic passing ideas than the Ravens have had. But Greg Roman's calling the plays, or at least he's there. Maybe Jim calls the plays. But Greg Roman's the offensive coordinator. A lot of former Ravens are out there. They're going to play tough smash-mouth football the way they did in Baltimore, the way they did at Michigan, and the way they did at San Francisco when Jim Harbaugh was there. That's what I expect.
I really appreciate the way that Sean McVay goes about coaching the Rams. They're doing something that I think is really smart. The Rams are going to have joint practices with 3 teams in training camp, Houston, Dallas, and the Chargers. I really wish the Jaguars had been able to get more than just the one, and obviously it takes 2 to tango. I understand that. But I think that's such an advantage for the Rams to be able, again, it all goes back again to the kickoff, but even in other facets, to have 3 different opportunities to really see how you stack up against other clubs before you get to the opener.
That certainly happens, Hays. That part is in play. I think 3 might be a little in excess for this reason. Those joint practices are emotional. We just talked about how many of them we've been to. There's going to be a skirmish or 2. There's going to be some jawing. You use emotion in a joint practice, even more than a preseason game. You use emotion in a joint practice that you wouldn't use in another practice. and then you got 17 games of emotion. So I don't know that I'd want to use that emotion that many times. To your point, though, you learn a great deal about your team. I wonder if 3 might be a little too many. 2 might be the sweet spot, to be honest.
We talked about this earlier in the show. Jerry West dies at 86 today, one of the greatest basketball legacies of all time.
When I was a kid, he was the star player, and I don't think he gets his due. When you talk about the great guards of all time, you're going to throw out Magic and Jordan and Steph and so many others. And Oscar Robertson, even though he played at the same era that Jerry West did, gets mentioned way more than Jerry West does. I don't think he gets his attention. He was in the league 12 years. He was an all-star 12 years. He's still the leading scorer in finals history. I think Jerry West is one of the greatest players of all time and should be recognized as such.
Game 3 tonight, Frank. Can the Mavs avoid an 0-3 hole?
I think the Mavs win tonight. I think the Mavs are going to win. I don't think they're going to win the series. I said Celtics in 6. I'll stand by that. But I think the Mavs will win the game tonight. They need to win the game tonight. If they lose tonight, then it's really no matter what happens in Game 4, it's now a very boring final. Because if they lose tonight, if they get to a Game 5, they're losing that.
Right.
So the most they would win is 1. If they win tonight, then it's 2-1 and everybody's in play.
The U.S. Open starts tomorrow. Will Pinehurst number 2 bite the world's greatest players?
I hope there's. I do. We were talking about it yesterday. There's some fast greens and hard greens already. I'm ready for a winner to gut his way to a 3-under championship. Again, or 4-under at least. I think the days of 1 and 2 over are over, but I don't know that 5-under's over, and I'd love to see that.
Getting it to the bigs, Aaron Judge hit his 25th home run, leads the bigs by 4 right now.
And not only that, but when Juan Soto's healthy, they are good. Remember, they have the best record in baseball and have not had Garrett Cole one pitch. Wow. One pitch.
It's incredible. Speaking of pitching, Paul Skeens dominates again, Frank.
Yeah, he was the dominant part of that game was that he went to the 7th inning, shutting them out, having only allowed 2 hits. The other part was the hard-hitting Pirates had no hits. Okay. They got no hit through 7, but came back and won the game. But, hey, Skeens is really good now. And look, if anyone could ever take care of the elbow, he can. He's a big physical guy. He's got a great training regimen. He will be the next great hard thrower.
He got a standing ovation from the Cardinals fans.
And that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now listen, there's good baseball fans in St. Louis, so I'm not super shocked by it.
Yeah, they love to tell themselves that.
Yeah,
they love to tell everyone
they
that.
do, but they are. But they proved it.
I agree.
But he's the biggest thing since Strasburg. He's the biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is the big. This is Pryor and Kerry Cook and now not Kerry Cook.
Kerry Wood.
Yeah, this is Pryor,
Kerry Wood.
This is Pryor, Kerry Wood, Strasburg. This is the next big hard throwing guy since that group.
If you're a local baseball fan, Frank, you can go watch some free baseball.
I am
right?
really proud of this. Hey, I appreciate you bringing it up. We have done what we have created at Walk-Off Charity. Obviously, part of the reason that the city partnered with us on this beautiful Bregan baseball complex that we were able to design and build and is in conjunction with the city, and we had a big input in that, is a revenue stream for walk-off. But what better revenue stream, Hayes, than a night at the ballpark? So we have built, and I have challenged our staff to do that, and they probably hate me, but we have built a system where from Memorial Day to July 25th, essentially 2.5 months, we are going to have a game every night.
Wow.
It's a college league game. That CCBL is so good. It's men's league. It's American Legion. On our big field, grown-up baseball, no admission, wonderful concessions. We've worked very hard on that. It's easy to find, right just off of I-295 near Bay Meadows. So if you got a night out, it's summer, you want a fun night of summer, you don't want to pay very much. It's free. Concessions are fairly priced. You go sit there on a beautiful ballpark, watch as the sun sets, because you can see the sunset as you're sitting in that grandstand, and have a night of baseball for free. And I'm proud of that. I kind of build it after the Cape League, which is free baseball. And so, hey, man, go out there, and every hot dog you buy helps walk-off charities, and I'm really proud of that. A game every night at the Bregan Baseball Complex.
That's fantastic. Well done. All right, we will shift to our pop culture moment of the day. On this date, 43 years ago, Raiders of the Lost Ark was released in theaters back in 1981. At a cost of $20 million, the Steven Spielberg film made $390 million at the box office, making it the most commercially successful film of 1981. John Williams created the iconic Indiana Jones theme. I never knew this. This is known as the Raiders March.
I didn't either. We all know
There
the
you go.
song. We all know the music. So no.
I just thought it was called the Indiana Jones theme.
I did as well. Hard to believe it's been that long.
Hard to believe. And then we will get you out on this musical note. Happy birthday to the late, great Brad Delp, who was born in 1951.
Wow.
The Boston frontman would have been 73 today. He died in 2007. This classic, More Than a Feeling, was the first single off the band's debut album released back in September of 1976.
I did not know this would have been Brad Delp's birthday. One of the greatest albums in the rock era. I will stand by this. One of the 5 greatest albums in the rock era, the original Boston album. This is the most popular song, but they were all hits. Brad Delp had one of the most iconic voices. He wasn't around as long as Steve Perry. Hays, he wasn't around as long as the real identifiable voices. But the great Brad Delp took his own life not long after the second or third album came out. But this is a great song, and it's a great album and a great way to end headlines. Perfect, once again, as they always are. I appreciate it very much. Hour 2's next. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Sometimes, when you believe the impossible, the incredible comes true.
Hey, is this heaven? No.
It's 1010XL.
Reminds us of all that once was good.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
I'm Holt Harrell with Harrell & Harrell. Choosing a law firm after an accident is an important decision. With so many messages, we know it can all sound the same. At Harrell & Harrell, we believe what sets us apart is our commitment to you. We'll help you find doctors to get you better, and we'll work hard to maximize any recovery. Visit our website and look at our reviews to see how we've helped people just like you make this important decision. Harrell & Harrell. Offices, Jacksonville.
This is Hays Carlyon for Kingfish Pest Control. Are mosquitoes turning your outdoor fun into a full contact sport? It's time to call in Kingfish Pest Control. I can tell you from my own experience, they are the MVPs of mosquito elimination. Call Kingfish Pest Control today and get an unbeatable 50% off your first treatment. That's right, sign up for a full season of lockdown coverage and get 50% off your first treatment. Don't let mosquitoes steal your home field advantage. That's Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
When persistent plumbing problems leave you feeling flushed, don't panic. Call Roland Reich. They quote all pricing in advance, so your only surprise is how quickly they'll solve your issue. Roland Reich Plumbing, plumbingjacksonville.com.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
A tomahawk steak is more than a meal, it's an experience. Dads, we've got you covered at Southern Steer Butcher. Now through Father's Day, get your tomahawk steaks for $24.99 a pound.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Wednesday is Free Friday at 1010XL's Restaurant of the Day, John Smith Subs. Experience the thrill of the grill and get free fries with any sandwich purchase all day today. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs on Hodges at JTV.
Prosser here, and if you are one of the ones that looks at your backyard area living space and thinks, wow, it needs an upgrade, Lifetime Enclosures is having a huge open house sale for Father's Day this Saturday, 10 to 3. Anything from glass or screen enclosures to full-on lanais and flooring, all in one place. The place you want to watch sports, enjoy your backyard, and just hang out could be so much better with Lifetime Enclosures. Come on out to Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring this Saturday from 10 to 3. You won't regret it.
Hacker here, and I just got back from a 9-day cruise to the Caribbean. Now, I knew I was going to slip off my Awaken 180 program because, hey, I deserve it. I've lost 65 pounds so far. But guess what? My Awaken 180 coach even suggested it and helped me cheat. She showed me how to take a break for 9 days and not put any of the weight back on. I ate all sorts of foods, from fried green tomatoes to frog legs, but the shocking part, I didn't keep going back up for seconds, thirds, or fourths. My body didn't need it, and I really didn't want it. Did I lose weight on vacation? No, I was on a break. But did I gain 10 pounds? No, sir. I didn't gain a single pound because my metabolism is on fire. My body's just doing its thing. If you want a program that works, want coaches that understand real life, do what we all did and call Awaken 180. They've got your back while keeping your front from popping. 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. Today, the Jaguars wrapped up the final day of mandatory minicamp. The Jags will now take about a 6-week break until they report for training camp on July 23rd. Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson spoke this morning about his message to the team during their 6-week break.
The message is to continue to work out, continue to run, continue to review the information that we gave them this offseason, so that when they come back, they come back ready. They come back in shape. They come back mentally and physically, ready to go for training camp.
Doug Peterson this morning, courtesy of Jaguars.com. It's 88 degrees at 5 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's a Ricketts Electric Wednesday on The Frangie Show. Ricketts Electric, the power connection you can trust.
Good seeing Zach Ricketts and Jesse and company at the Kingfish
Absolutely.
the other night at the old school Kingfish shootout, and always good to catch up with that. What a good guy. What a good company. Ricketts Electric, the number is 904-320-5960. 904-320-5960. They handle all our electrical work at home. They handle it for our walk-off charities, and they're just a good that's the electrician to know, Ricketts Electric. Give them a chance.
They had a big time. They had they caught 4 kingfish, Zach told me, and the kids all got to weigh a fish, and they were very excited about that. So,
and by the way, speaking of that, I texted my friend Lauren Dozier the next day. What a wonderful event.
Oh, yeah.
Paul and Lauren Dozier put on the old school Kingfish shootout. I had never been to it before. It is over 665 boats. It is the premier Kingfish tournament anywhere, really. It's the one. And I texted Lauren on Saturday just because I drove away from there so impressed. Everybody was happy. Everybody's at a good place. The music on that deck was good. It was organized. Paul, you could tell it was. You know what I mean? You can tell. Listen, we've all been involved in a lot of events. A lot of times, even ones you put on, you're like, that didn't kind of go as well as I had hoped it would. And that thing's organized. They did a great job. So tip of the cap to Paul and Lauren and the folks at that old school Kingfish tournament. I mean that they did a great job putting that thing on. So it was a lot of fun. Tell you a quick story. I told you a story off the air. So last night, I get together. This is one of the coolest things we do. I grew up in as you did, grew up in Jacksonville, and I still get together kind of once a month with, last night, 7 other people that we went to elementary school together. We knew each other since the first grade.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's really cool. And my friend Mark Coe puts it together. So, Mark, tip the cap to you. But, Jerry Hurst, who's Hayden Hurst's dad.
Well, this was the group that brought the teacher.
They brought one of our teachers.
That's magnificent.
I missed that one.
Yeah,
they brought one of our teachers. One of our teachers had come. So last night, and we were kind of reminiscing. And one of the people there, Tanya Crescent-Betty, who's married to John Crescent-Betty, who had been a longtime councilman here in town, still works with DIA. Tanya and I grew up together, and reminded me of a story because we're idiots in high school. And for whatever reason, during one of the basketball games, all the seniors on the baseball team, the cheerleaders would go do stunts. They go do stunts in between quarters. The cheerleaders go out there and do stunts. So we borrowed all the cheerleaders' uniforms, got wigs, okay, wore T-shirts and wigs, and the cheerleaders' skirts. okay, and somehow tried to fit into these cheerleader skirts and go do the stunts, okay? So we went and did our tumbles and all. We look like idiots because we're idiots. Well, leave it to me that Tanya, beautiful blonde, Miss Inglewood, head cheerleader, what do? I break her skirt. I blow out the skirt. Back then, they didn't have 28 uniforms. You had one skirt.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm the one dumbass that broke the skirt of the cheerleader. And I said, Tanya, do you remember that? She said, oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
So you gave me back a broken skirt. So there
That was all in good fun.
Yeah, it was. So we had a wonderful time last night. It was a great group. JJ, what about the Atlanta Braves? What are we going to do here? I mean,
lots of trades. Like
what
they
is
need
the
bats.
story? What is? But how can the Atlanta Braves need bats? Acuna's down. I get that, but I mean, how can the Braves need bats?
Olsen doesn't hit homers anymore. He had like 50 last year. Every at bat, he swings at everything imaginable. It's crazy. Murphy, who's our catcher, was a guy who got hurt like the first game of the year, so he was out for I think like a month, maybe even a little bit longer. He's come back. He's batting like 130, like just terrible. Austin Riley, every at bat, he's just a mess, man.
It's your guy, Hays.
I don't. He's
the
a great
rattlesnake has lost his
fielder.
bite.
He's like a great third baseman, but I don't know what is up with him. He's always been a terribly unclutch hitter. He's like a guy who, the Braves are up 4-0, will hit one, 2-run home run, make his stats look a lot better. But if a guy's on third base with less than 2 outs, he'll never get him in. He's always been that guy. But the level of incompetence now is at an all-time high with him. It's crazy. So the Braves, like this season early, were winning off the back of like insanely good starting pitching.
Yeah, Marcell Ozuna's having a really good year.
He was the only guy.
But that's about. But I mean, he's having a stupid good year now. I mean, he's got 18 home runs and is hitting .316. He's knocked in 55 runs. He's having a ridiculous.
The only guy who bats any or gets any runs batted in. And
Olsen's now up to 241. He's got 9 home runs, so he's starting to hit a little bit.
I guess.
But the numbers are, I mean, Albies is hitting 260.
It's about timely hitting, though.
What's stunning is they only have
so bad when guys are on base.
Well, and they only have one player that has double-digit home runs. And here, Aaron Judge has 25.
I know.
I mean, that's what is so astonishing.
When I see teams go like back-to-back, like last night, Dodgers go back-to-back, and I'm like, it looks like a different sport we're playing.
Now let me tell you. Trust me, by the way, the life you live, and I've lived for 30 years.
I know.
But it's unusual to see the Braves living.
Well,
that's the unusual.
This is how
part.
this is going to go. They're going to play like absolute crap,
right,
for another 20 games or something like that.
Oh, I hope not.
And then they are going to peak at the right time. They will end up being the Major League Baseball version of the Florida Gator baseball team this year, where it'll be like, what happened to this team? And then you're going to look up, and the Braves are going to be in the NLCS.
Yeah, other than it's not going to go quite as low as Florida did. I agree with that. I mean, I really do agree with that. They're way better than this.
You don't want to play your best baseball now anyway.
Yeah. But
I mean, how often
the lows are so like everyone was expecting them to have hit their stride by now, but it's getting worse. Like it's bad every single night. They can't score and they can't hit. They scored 0 runs last night. They start the game with a triple. Guy on third base, no outs. Nobody can, top of the lineup. They can't do anything. It's not like they're facing killers either. They lost 3 or 4 to the Nats.
They still have 98 games.
Oh my God, I don't want to watch 98 more of this.
But again,
that's crazy though. The way Hays puts that, I didn't realize there's still 100 games left.
Well, and I always chuckle a little bit when fans of good teams that, God forbid, have a bad stretch and they're jumping off bridges, okay? I always get a little bit of a chuckle out of it. God bless you, poor.
Well, it's just because the expectations, the expectations are so high for a club like the Braves.
But I am surprised because I've always thought the Braves were one of the 2 or 3 best teams. We all, and JJ, you and I had this talk before the season started. You knew the Phillies were loaded. Everybody knew the Phillies were loaded. I didn't think the Yankees would be this good.
Agreed.
The Yankees are really good. You knew the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing about what you'd expect. But among the good teams, the biggest surprise to me is the Braves. It's just bizarre.
What's great for the Braves is the National League stinks.
Yeah.
So, like, all the wild card teams are, like, at 500 or even, like, below 500. So the Braves still have, like, I think they're 6 games above 500 at this point.
They are.
And they're
they have a
clearly the
little
number
bit
one
of
wild
a lead.
card
Oh yeah. So the other wild card teams are so bad that the Braves. I mean, it still looks like they're sort of a lock, knock on wood, to make the playoffs,
But
which is
wouldn't you
crazy.
say, if the Braves are right now 17th in home runs, before the season you would have said, even knowing Acuna was only going to get 192 at-bats, you still would have said, what's like the worst case the Braves finish in home runs? 6th?
10th at the worst.
Okay. Well, that's going to happen. That's where they're going to finish. They're not going to finish 17th. So
I
what
hope
it tells
you're right,
you
but they're
is
trending
over
the
the next
opposite.
100 games, they're going to hit a crazy amount of home runs because they're probably going to finish somewhere between 6 and 10.
Yeah, there's guys like Riley and Olsen that you expect
Correct.
to get to 20 homers,
yeah.
like minimum.
Yeah, the Acuna thing gives me a little pause on what you just said, but by and large, you're right. Stats, you are who you are, and if you're a guy that typically hits 32 home runs, you're probably going to hit 26.
Right.
You're not going to hit 11.
Right.
That's the point. And you might not hit the 32 this year. You might be 24, but you're probably not hitting 11, assuming you stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, baseball is the sport that you can take previous statistical data and apply it to what's going to happen in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that.
But the way it looks right now, like if you're watching what I was watching every single night, what I am watching, it's really hard to imagine that.
Well, and it's a dumb question when you talk about the Braves, so indulge me. They still have the fourth best record, to your point. They still have the fourth best record in the National League. And frankly, I think they're every bit as good as the Brewers, so they're probably the fourth best. They're probably the third best team in the league. I mean, the Phillies and the Dodgers of the Brewers. Phillies, Dodgers, and Brewers have good records. Everybody else is kind of mediocre in the whole league. But is it they'll truly be buyers, right, JJ? I mean,
you have to.
Yeah, you have to. And so you.
I don't know who you'd sell.
Yeah. Well, you sell. Well, that's right.
You have all these guys on like these crazy long contracts that are going to be Braves for the next 7 years. Pretty much everybody, besides the Duvals and the random veteran players. But yeah, the Murphys, the Olsons, the Rileys, the Acuñas, the Ozzie Albies, they're locked into the Braves for 5+ years.
The Braves.
This is our squad.
And this is why I'm surprised. The Braves are so good. I remember thinking last year, I think it was, that how many teams in Major League Baseball would like to have Travis d'Arnaud as their starting catcher.
Right.
He's the backup in Atlanta. And I mean, if you think about it for a second,
he's great.
Yeah, I mean, he's the backup. He's the backup catcher. So, but you're right. The Braves have lost 4 in a row, and here's what hurts: 3 of those are to the Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost 4 in a row, 5 out of 6, and that's where this look. They've been up and down, but and by the way, they won 2 out of 3 at the Yankees. Okay. So is that right, or is that the Mets? I take it back. That's the Mets.
We haven't played the Yankees.
I'm looking at this. My bad. I apologize. This is the Mets. But they've lost 4.
The Yankees would smoke us right now. My God.
Lost 4 in a row and 5 out of 6. I'm looking at their schedule here, and they just got shut out by the Orioles. Now they play 2 more in Baltimore. So,
and that's one of the best teams in the American League.
Yeah,
I have no hope for the next 2 days.
Yeah. And by the way, they do play at the Yankees coming up in the middle of the month, right? They go to Yankees.
Great.
They go to Yankees.
Looking
Stadium
forward to it.
in the middle of the month. Well, that's not what you need to worry about. What you need to worry about is those Pirates come back to town. Okay,
dude.
If
you
you
guys
haven't
are
had
so
enough,
much better than
hey,
us.
you had enough yet? Or you want more? There's more. We got more.
Yeah.
There's more where that came from. Yeah, just in case you want to know that.
You guys, I think, are in the. If the season ended today, you guys would be the last wild card.
Really?
Team, right?
Well, today, yeah. But the way that's those 4 teams in the Central, other than the Brewers, the Pirates, the Reds, the Cubs, and the Cardinals, they change places. They all have one can be in second place today and last place tomorrow, so they're all kind of the same thing. Quick golf thought, because we're going to come back and we're going to do our draft. Hays, what if he wins? What if he wins again? I mean, then it gets comical, right?
It really does. I mean, particularly considering just what he's been, the duress he's been under. Some of it's good duress. I mean, having his son, being born, that's fantastic. But it is stressful. I mean, it's euphoric, but it's in leading up to it. It is very stressful, and then it's kind of fatiguing. In those first few weeks, it hasn't slowed him down. He goes and wins the Memorial. the arrest, obviously, I can only imagine the 2 or 3 weeks of strain that put him under, and it didn't really affect him. I mean, to be honest, the only thing that we've seen affect him is when his caddy goes to his son's graduation. That's about the only thing that affects him, because that was the one day where he didn't play very well when he had his the pastor, is his caddy. I don't. I mean, now maybe Pinehurst won't fit him. That's the thing about majors is it's just been so long since they've been at Pinehurst number 2. So it's, maybe it's not, he's not a horse for the course, so to speak. But I mean, there's really nothing to suggest because he's putting better.
Right.
He's always been magnificent tee to green.
Right.
But now he's putting well, which is, it just basically is unfair. So yeah, if it goes back to that, tweet that Brandel Chambly had before I think it was before the Masters. Maybe it was before the Players. But he was asked who was going to win. And he basically was like, if Scotty Scheffler putts well, it'll be a romp. If he putts okay, he'll win by 3. If he putts kind of bad, he'll win by 1. And if he, suffers a neck injury, he'll win in a playoff. And
that was awesome.
That's sort of where it is. You think of the things that he has had to overcome, and it just nothing seems to stop him, which in golf is remarkable because it's such a fine line between being fantastic and being mediocre. And just nothing in his life with all this volatility, nothing has rattled him at all. So, yes, if he is able to win the U.S. Open, then I don't think we've seen anything like it since Tiger Woods.
Pretty amazing stuff. It really is. All right, you ready to you want to
Let's
take a break?
it.
We're going to take a break.
Norway's ready.
We've got a draft coming up. We will give you the overall Loser Monday standings. I've had a loss. You guys haven't. That's all we got. We'll tell you where we are in the hoops. And, we will do a Loser Monday draft for the U.S. Open. It's next. Stay with us.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harold and Harold studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
Keep your quarter panel clean with 1010XL.
Missed it by that much.
Wow. Sunday at Iowa Speedway. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234 on Jacksonville's NASCAR station. 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. Pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hays Carlyon from MyBookie. The NBA Finals are underway, and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, cash out or let it ride. MyBookie makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays, and new boosts are now posted each day. The Mavericks are a 1.5-point home favorite over the Celtics in Game 3 on Wednesday. The over-under is 212.5 points. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using 1010XL as your promo code when you make your first deposit. That's promo code 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
To get this thing unwrapped here. Duval!
Praz, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, Dan. I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. Johns County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Dailies Dash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, like me. I'm sure there's a Dailies Dash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course,
oven roasted beef, Munster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
That's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it!" and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Dailies Dash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Daly's Dash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
Bolt City Heating and Air is here to keep you cool this summer. Anytime, any day, whenever you need fast, reliable air conditioning service. Their friendly technicians have fully stocked work vans, so they can get your AC done on site the same day. Rely on a family-owned Jacksonville-grown company this summer to keep your home cooling system working smarter, not harder. Experience the Bold difference. Visit BoldCityAC.com to schedule your service appointment. BoldCityAC.com.
Baloo for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
Matt Hays here for Leonard Truck Outfitters. The Southeast's biggest truck accessory and trailer company is opening their newest location on Beach Boulevard. Truck accessories, trailers, or commercial uplifts, they've got you covered. From Real Truck, UWS, Weather Guard, carry-on trailers, and much more. Join us for our grand opening on June 28th, starting at noon. XL Primetime will be there live from 2 to 4 with special promotions and giveaways, even a free golf cart. That's June 28th. Don't forget about our other location on Blanding Boulevard.
This Father's Day, make it easy on yourself with great gift ideas from
Beaches Dermatology, Southern Steer Butcher, and the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp.
Oh, this is fantastic. Gift ideas for Father's Day are a click away at 1010XL.com.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free from credit cards, car loans, and personal loans. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make it happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards. Get some money for a home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
Imagine a majestic cut of beef that commands attention the moment it arrives at your table. At Southern Steer, now through Father's Day, get your tomahawk steaks for $24.99 a pound.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Golf takes center stage at Hidden Hills Golf Club, but we have a little bit of something for everyone. So whether you want to practice, play, or just relax with friends in the Hills Grill, Hidden Hills is the place for you. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. 1010.
Now, Frangie's 1010 Take, brought to you by Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows K-12, a tuition-free, A-rated school. Enroll now at baymeadowscharter.org.
The take's an easy one. Jerry West, I talked about earlier. I'll talk about it again. I think one of the most underrated players of all time. You think, wait a minute, how can he be underrated? He's the logo. Everybody talks about Jerry West. Well, here's why. Because when you talk about the greatest guards of all time, it takes way too long to get there. You start with Michael, as you should. You talk about Oscar Robertson. You talk about, in the present day, you talk about Steph Curry, and certainly if you want to call LeBron a guard, he's a bit of everything. He gets in there too. So many players deserve that recognition. Jerry West was in the league 12 years. He was an all-star 12 times. 12 years, 9 times he took his team to the finals. They lost because those Celtics teams were so very good. But think about that for a second. He's still the leading scorer in finals history. He went on to be a great executive, a great coach, a great contributor. 3 times inducted into the Hall of Fame. Once as a player, once as a member of the 1960 Olympic team. He also has a gold medal, by the way, and once as a contributor to the sport. Jerry West is one of the great basketball players of all time. I'm partial to him because he's one of the first basketball players I ever paid attention to as a kid. He doesn't get his due. The great Jerry West gone at the age of 80. 56. All right, let's get to some golf. You ready to do some picks? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Loser Monday looks like this. We've only had one event. I lost, so I've got one loss. Hays and JJ have 0 losses. But now it's time for the U.S. Open, the United States Open. I cannot take John Rahm or Hideki Matsuyama. Darn it. JJ cannot take Scotty Scheffler or Cam Smith. Hays cannot take Brooks Koepka or Rory McIlroy. Hays, give us the order, please. How's this going to go?
Frank, you will have the honor of going first because the NBA Finals is still ongoing. So we're going off of the Masters. So you'll go first, JJ second, and I will go third.
And then you'll also go fourth.
Correct.
And JJ will go fifth, and then I will go sixth. That's how this works. Let's go. I will kick this off. Man, this is a hard one. Man, I've agonized. I've gone back and forth. But I'm going to pick Scotty Scheffler.
Well done.
He'll be my pick. JJ, you're on the clock.
I'm going to go with the PGA champion, Xander Schauffele, who is playing the best golf of his life right now.
He's a very good player. Schauffele is off the board. Hays, you cannot take Rory or Brooks Koepka.
I will go with Colin Morikawa and Victor Hovland, please.
Two terrific choices, Morikawa, and Hovland. JJ, you cannot. You cannot take. Who you
I'm going to go with a guy who I don't love. I actually cheer against him.
Okay.
But he's been in the top 5 for 5 straight U.S. Opens. Rory McIlroy. And his marriage is back, folks.
Yeah, how about
the
that?
divorce is off.
All right. So
congrats to Rory and wife.
You were going to take Rory. Very well done. All right, I get the last pick. I'm going to take Bryson DeChambeau.
Wow, here we go.
He's been killing it.
He has played really well in these majors. I think he's kind of refound himself. So there you go. I've got Scheffler and DeChambeau. JJ LaSelva out of Northeast Ocala, Florida, has Xander Schauffele and Rory McIlroy. Hays Carlyon, who hails from the Bowl School, a gunner on that punt team. Colin Morikawa and Victor Hovland. That's 3 pretty good teams, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Great teams.
That actually might be a pretty good competition.
DeChambeau has won this event before.
Oh, it's aggregate score, overall score. Who is the most not under par or over par? That is who loses, and that is who gets us bonos next week. Of course, and as we all know, in the event that I lose, it'll be 12 weeks before I remember. Okay, but there certainly is that. So
we could have a double loser this weekend.
Yes, we could because it could.
And I'm looking at myself in the mirror.
And I'm looking at myself.
Well, and I'm not looking at myself. Okay,
I think you're
Thank
safe.
God Luka exists.
And so God bless him. So speaking of which, so far 2 games in, our loser Monday in the NBA, I've got 133 points. Should be okay. JJ's got 97 points. Hays has 87. I guess I should tell you who we have. I got Luka, White, and Drew Holiday at 133. JJ has Tatum, Porzingis, and P.J. Washington at 97. Hays has Jaylen Brown, Kyrie Irving, and some guy that plays for the Magic, for the Mavs. He's got 87
Derek
points.
Jones, yeah.
That's one of the great moments of all time. 133, 97 to 87. That is absolutely
And
perfect.
I've seen a few pictures and videos of Kristaps Porzingis walking into the arena.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any, wraps on his leg, or he looks pretty damn healthy, folks. So I'm feeling good about that.
You feel better about that.
I do.
Oh, so that's
I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship from the Celtics. You know, we had the Mavs and Luka saying he was questionable the other night.
Downgraded him.
Yeah, and now I think we're having the same deal where yesterday they came out and they're like, this is a very rare and serious injury. And now all of a sudden he's not even on crutches or anything. So I'm feeling all right.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. Be fun to watch. Be a fun watch tonight.
Huge
we'll watch
game.
that tonight. Then we got U.S. Open, loser Monday to watch all weekend. Is the next game? Is it Sunday or Friday? Friday. I think it's Friday.
Is it?
Yes, tonight and Friday.
Tonight is Friday.
So they won't have that 3-day period.
Yeah, so it's a lot of hoop coming up, a lot of important stuff coming up. Hey, I saw something. See if you agree with this, Hays. Elite college football, whatever that is, has called the last 5 games for the Florida Gators. Number 1, Georgia, according to where they're currently ranked. Number 1, Georgia, or some poll. At number 3, Texas. Again, this is some poll now. Home against number 14, LSU. Home against number 6, Ole Miss. At number 11, Florida State. 5 games, nobody ranked lower than 14th. 3 ranked in the top 6, 1 ranked 11th on the road. It says it is the toughest 5-game stretch in college football history. Could it possibly be the toughest in history?
I wouldn't argue it. What I would be interested in looking back, remember when we would talk about those early 80s Florida State teams and how they weren't in a conference, and how you would look at those years and they would go to LSU, Auburn,
Notre Dame.
I mean, it was
crazy.
Miami,
Florida.
The 81 team.
Let me pull it up.
Pull up 81. The 81 team played at Nebraska, Ohio State, LSU. I know Nebraska, Pitt, when Pitt had Marino, I think.
Ohio State.
Yeah, I think
Ohio State.
I think it was Ohio State.
At Florida, Southern Miss was even ranked in the top 25.
And I'll tell you that Southern Miss rolled them. I'll tell you that story in a minute. But they played at Ohio State, North Carolina. You got it pulled up, right, JJ?
Yes.
It's at Ohio State. Tell me if I get this right. LSU, Notre Dame, Nebraska. Maybe Miami was in there.
Pitt.
At Pitt with Marino.
And he was they were number 3.
Yeah, so at really good Pitt. And what happened was, I don't remember how. Here's what I can tell you. They held their own in that stretch, but then they played, and I don't even have it pulled up. I just remember it.
Right.
They played Miami, Southern Miss, and Florida.
Correct.
And got crushed because they were out of gas. I think Southern Miss beat them 58-14.
Yeah, they barely lost to Miami and then got blasted.
58-14. Reggie Collier was the quarterback of Southern Miss who was so good, and then Florida beat them 35-3.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember that. But in fairness to FSU, they played. So that might be, to your point, that might be as tough a stretch as any of them.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you can certainly make a case. It's certainly one of the hardest stretches, and it's we're literally going back to 1981 to find something that's comparable. I don't think maybe there's been a Notre Dame run of 5 weeks, maybe one of the years, but because they played like Navy and it just wouldn't feel like it's 5 in a row. They've had some really tough schedules. I wouldn't think you'd see it in another conference. And I frankly don't think you'd really see it in the SEC because usually you've got a cupcake somewhere in there. So in terms of 5-game stretches, yeah, I think it's very comparable to the 81 FSU that, like you guys said, at Nebraska, this was over a 5-game stretch. At Nebraska, at Ohio State, at Notre Dame, at Pitt, who was ranked 3rd, and then at LSU. So I mean, that's unbelievable.
And here's the problem with the problem, or what confirms this Florida schedule to be so tough. A lot of times you really don't know how good someone's going to be till the season starts. Some teams maybe. I mean, Texas A&M's always ranked high, and then you look up and they've lost 5. But other than maybe Ole Miss, it's not likely any of these are more of a dog than it looks like because they're also traditional powers. Georgia's going to be number 1. Texas has got a really good coach and a quarterback back, and it's on the road. They may not be 3, but they're not going to collapse, I don't think. LSU, probably not a collapse. They could be the one team that's off a little bit. Ole Miss could collapse because they're not typically, but I don't think they're going to. And at Florida State, it's going to be a war, and it looks like Mike Norvell's turned the corner there, and that's a road game. So it's not likely that, those 5 didn't turn out to be as tough as you thought. That's not likely to happen.
Would you take 2 and 3 right now in that stretch?
I might take it now. I mean, I hate to say that. Yeah, I think I would.
I think I would.
I think I would take 2 and 3 right. If you told me right now 2 and 3, yes, because I would tell you if you start out 6 and 1, let's say you start out 5 and 2, then 2 and 3 gets you
7 and 5.
Yeah, I'd still take it.
I think I would take it because the 2 wins that would mean the least would be Ole Miss and LSU. But you're still beating. Well, LSU is a rival. It's not a primary rival, but it's become more of a rival in the last 10, 15 years. And again, to beat Ole Miss, particularly with the history with Lane Kiffin, that would be a great day, even if Ole Miss wasn't particularly strong. So, and here's the thing: I don't think they have a prayer beating Georgia.
Right.
So can they go to Texas and win the week after they play Georgia?
Right.
Boy, that seems awfully tough.
Yeah, it does.
And then you're the problem with going to Tallahassee, as we've seen it, you're gonna have to be better than Florida. If you're the same as Florida State, you're losing that game.
Right.
So you've got to be better than whatever Florida State, and obviously they've got to rebuild it. They've lost so much talent, but yeah, that'd be hard for me to see them doing much better than 2-3, and at least you avoid the absolute 0-5 collapse that is very much on the table.
We'll take a break. When we come back 1 segment ago, we'll have our cool down, and I'm not going to lie to you, there's Joey Chestnut news.
Big news.
Big news. Back in a moment. Stay with us.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update, brought to you by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
The NCAA College Baseball World Series begins on Friday. 8 teams vying for the national championship, and the 8 coming from 2 conferences. The SEC featuring Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. The ACC, North Carolina State, Virginia, and Florida State. Tennessee was the #1 overall seed when the tournament began. They're the favorites to win the College World Series at plus 250. Texas A&M plus 350. Kentucky is at plus 470. North Carolina plus 650. Florida State plus 900. This update brought to you by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1010 XL.
Did you know Duck Rooter is the area's go-to plumber? A 5-star Google-rated company, Duck Rooter can take care of all of your plumbing repairs and upgrades. Need to switch from septic over to city sewer? Call the Duck. How about water heater repairs and replacement? You're just a duck away, or call away, for Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
I'm sure many of you guys feel like you wish you could be as fit as you were in your 20s. The dad bod is really tough to shed. I'm Dr. Lance Snyder, and I did something about it. For Dr. Rappaport at the Jax Aesthetic Center. I'm active, I played college sports, and I still work out a few times a week. Nothing worked. As a doctor and a dad, I want to be around as long as possible and feel good about my body. Dr. Rappaport put together a personalized treatment plan that worked. It was easy for me to make appointments, get to those appointments, and get back to work in time. I also recommend the Incella chair for any urinary issues or ED. Dr. Rappaport has state-of-the-art treatment options for men. And the M-Sculpt Neo is an abs blast. 20,000 crunches in 30 minutes. Give yourself your own gift this Father's Day at the Jax Aesthetic Center. Build muscle and lose fat. Call or text today, 904-808-2455. That's 904-808-2455. You won't be sorry.
Every season is Chevy truck season at Nimnick Chevrolet, and there's no better time to do what you do best than a Chevy Silverado. Now at Nimnick, you can save up to $12,000 off a new Silverado, or well-qualified buyers can get rates as low as 1.9% financing on all new Silverado 1500 models. And with the largest inventory on the ground, outstanding cash incentives, and the best price guarantee, your perfect truck is waiting for you at Nimnick Chevrolet. It all starts with a Chevy truck. Remember, Nimnick will always give you top dollar on your trade. So shop online 24/7 at nimnickchevy.com or visit the dealership located at the corner of Park Street and Cassett. You want a great truck? Then you want a Silverado from Nimnick. That's Nimnick Chevrolet. Visit them today. Nimnick Chevrolet on Cassett Avenue at Park. Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
This is Hays Carlyon from my friend Holt at Harold and Harold. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harold and Harold make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold and Harold and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
The saying goes, the grass is greener on the other side. Well, that is actually true if your neighbor installed artificial turf. Lauren Brooks here from my friends at Sunshine Turf, a family-owned local company that will take your backyard dreams and turn them into a reality. Caleb can design anything from putting greens to pet runs, and if you have a pool, you'll definitely love maintenance-free turf around it. Visit sunshineturf.info to get a free quote today from Sunshine Turf. That's sunshineturf.info.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
It's the blog players put their pads on for.
So we want it, we got to bring it. My thoughts and observations on our home team. That's what I share with you every week on my blog.
Roland Reach Plumbing brings you Hays Blog on 1010XL.com.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
Homeowners and investors, the choice of title company is yours. When making that decision, choose the team of St. John's Title, LLC. As board-certified expert attorney-owned firm with decades of experience, we provide the utmost in precision and professionalism. Conveniently located offices and in-home remote closing options, we serve your needs. Whether refinancing or selling your property, our customer-first approach is tailor-made to your timeline. With a seasoned team of experts and 5-star testimonials from customers across the First Coast, visit stjohnstitle.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Let us cool down. Where have we been today? Jerry West. I talked about him at the top of the program and again a moment ago. One of the most underrated players of all time, one of the great basketball players of all time, 12-time All-Star, 12 times in the league, 7 times in the finals, still the finals leader in scoring, the great Jerry West, dead at the age of 86. We talked about the final day of Jags minicamp. Doug Peterson, we heard some of his comments, and they seem to be at a good place as this team breaks for 6 weeks now. We'll certainly get to that. We talked about the Atlanta Braves struggling a little. They're 35-29. They've lost 4 in a row. They're a better team than that, but it's interesting they've struggled as much as they have. The 1983 NC State Wolfpack team wants to sue the NCAA for back dollars associated with NIL. Brett Hastings was here. That was our Sports in Courts. And we talked about that. And, of course, Loser Monday, we picked the winner of the U.S. Open. Hard to believe the U.S. Open starts tomorrow. That is our cool down for today's program. Also, JJ, I think you got a giveaway in there.
I do. So if you guys don't have plans this Saturday, maybe I can make plans for you. We have a family 4-pack of tickets for this Saturday's Jacksonville Axemen rugby game. You can visit jacksaxe.com for more information. Or be caller number 4 right now.
Caller 641-1010. You're going to see the Axemen. But right now, Hays Carlyon from the Moss Point Grill, you've got hot dog news.
I mean, this is I don't know that we can take this much news in 1 week.
I mean.
But this is good news. I mean, after having our worlds rattled to its core.
Rattled would be the word.
With Joey Chestnut being banned.
Still scarred.
From the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Hard to believe.
Which, I mean, canceled my family's pilgrimage to go see it. Well, now Netflix has saved the day with one of the most brilliant moves of all time, Frank.
Please share.
Because we are going to have Joey Chestnut versus Kobayashi.
No, we're not. You're making this up.
Yes. In an unsanctioned battle.
Wow. You're telling me.
Hell in a cell.
You're telling me one-on-one? Are you saying mano a mano? who eats the most wins.
How about this? Now we will finally know who the greatest guy who can eat the most hot dogs the fastest is.
Here's my question: Major League Eating's got to be pissed.
Oh yeah,
the MLE.
Talk about being upstage.
Right. The level, the well-known MLE can't be happy about this.
No.
They're seething.
They got to be, because, like I said, you don't ban Joey Chestnut. This is on the MLE.
That was a mistake in hindsight.
Yeah, you don't ban Joey Chestnut.
So I believe it's Monday, September 2nd.
Well, I know my plans.
I mean, so
what Monday Night Football game are they going to be competing?
Well,
it doesn't matter.
It's perfect. Football won't have started.
I think it's probably the Labor Day game. The Labor Day game will be on, and
they might do it during the day, because the Nathans is usually.
Let me just tell you this: the Labor Day game could be Alabama and Ohio State. Second
right.
fiddle to me. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to watch the highlights of that.
I'm
locked
got it
into
right
the
here. Okay, so that is the second you said.
Yeah, it'll be a college game.
Yeah, it's going to be scrolling all the way
the
down.
FSU game?
It is.
Might be.
Oh,
So
sorry.
it's Boston College versus Florida State from Dublin, right?
Okay.
No,
Dublin's the week before. So this is
okay.
Sorry, Mike Norvell. Okay. Wow. Sorry, I can't watch that
Dude,
one.
the spread is 21.5.
Sorry,
we could probably skip it.
Sorry, DJ Uyunglele. I got Joey Chestnut in my future that night. Are you kidding me?
And it's only for like 10 minutes.
It'll probably be during the day. I think you said it.
These two combatants haven't been in the same arena since 2009, according to this report.
That's a disgrace.
Oh, folks, that'll do it for our program. We always end with big news. Don't go anywhere. Rick Ballou is up next. He goes into the night. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. For Hays and JJ, I'm Frank Frangie. So long.